Welcome to Brotherhood First, the podcast. I'm your host, Franklin Stacy Jr. Joining me today are brothers Gary Moore and Lamar Anderson, along with my producer. You might know him as the other brother, Brother Alex Wood. In this inaugural episode, we're going to explore the reason why we're all here, what led us to pledge the greatest fraternity in the world, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. To put it simply, why Alpha? Brothers, why Alpha? My thought is, first and foremost, why not Alpha? Mm-hmm. Okay? I was not introduced to fraternities until I got on the campus of Western Illinois University. And so, knowing nothing about Greek letters, I knew what the letter A was. But I didn't know what that circle with the line was, Right. Because it's funny how, people always say, it's funny how when people say, are you a part of the AOIA? Have you ever had that before? The AOIA? Oh, yeah. Well, I learned really fast that, on the campus in 1985, it was very popular. There were no other organizations, and so you had organizations that had different colors, they had different letters, and so just going to the parties, that was my first introduction. And there was an incident that happened at the party, and it was unfortunate that the brothers and another organization weren't getting along, but the next party when I came, when I saw the brothers and I saw them and I saw the numbers and I saw how they were represented, I had to be involved. Yeah. And I had to learn more. They caught my attention. And so moving forward, becoming an aristocrat, which, I think it's a shame that we don't have those anymore, because it allowed a incoming freshman to be a part of a family, because that's how they treated us. They treated us like their little brothers, like a family. And so from there, it was really no question what I was going to join. Yeah. And once becoming a member, or once becoming a brother, the brothers told us that you're going to have to seek out more information. It's going to be your responsibility to seek out more information. And once I got off the island of Ada, and I met other brothers, like the brothers that are sitting around this table, I knew that I joined the right organization. And so, brothers, let's talk more.
Well, for me, I was blessed to have the grad chapter on the campus of Bradley University. They did the recruiting for the undergrads. There was a lull period of time where the undergrad chapter was going through low numbers. And so the brothers in Peoria who had already graduated, McFarland Bragg, Preston King, J.T. Goodfoot, they came to Bradley's campus to recruit. And so I only had 13 days of college life before I pledged. That was when first semester freshmen could pledge. And so we had 13 days of college life, and coming from Chicago with a big family, I had all older brothers, had a couple sisters, but I was used to brotherhood. And this is 1976, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Egyptology. And so that was very intriguing to me. I'm seeing pyramids and I'm seeing, Egyptology, and me being, to this day, deep into African American history. And then they were the first, the Alphas are the first.
Yeah.
And they've meshed Egyptology in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't go wrong.
It's amazing that you mentioned Peoria's own Preston Jackson, because before I even knew Preston was my art teacher. He never showed me that. He never told me he was an alpha. He showed me that he was an alpha. And and then finding out that he was from Peoria,
right?
It just it was just amazing to get to know that brother, as a professor and as a man. And there were times when I spent, time talking to him, and so I appreciate that. Preston is special to us.
Mine is very similar. I was introduced to Alpha in my community. So the community that I grew up in, one of the poorest communities, areas in the Peoria area, and the gentlemen who were coming down to our community doing work actually happened to be Alphas. I didn't know that they were Alphas. They didn't wear letters or anything like that. The brothers that you just mentioned, Brother Moore, it was actually Brother McFarland Bragg, also Brother JT Goodfoot. I'm a music guy, so that's how they attracted me. So they were a part of this radio station on Bradley's campus, and the radio station that they were a part of used to do these community-based events, DJing in the parks and stuff like that. And me loving music, and them bringing the community together based on music, it just blew my mind. And then, ironically, when I went to college, because I'm a first-generation college student, so college was not
likewise.
on my...
Likewise.
I think most
likewise.
So college was not on my radar. Had no idea. So my mom said, we got a plan for your life. You either A, going to the workforce, going to college, or going to the military.
Yeah. I knew that was coming.
And I was like, I am not going to the military. So I was like, okay, well, let me just take a few classes here at a community college. And then I kind of got introduced to Greek life and all of those type of things. And I remember going to the Garrett Hall on Bradley University's campus.
Yeah.
And that's one of the first times that I actually saw Alphas.
Yeah.
And they mirrored exactly what was happening in my community, exactly the same type of personality. So that's why it was for me. It was a no-brainer. It was just like, I know this is what I do.
You talked about the part where the brothers came into your community, and they weren't wearing any paraphernalia. Right. I failed to mention, and I should be ashamed of myself, sitting on the porch at my house at 902 West 3rd Street on the south end of Peoria. And this was before cell phones and pagers, and hearing my phone ring. And my phone rung, and it was Brother Lee Calhoun, before I knew he was Brother Lee Calhoun. And for those of you who do not know Lee Calhoun is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in the 110 high hurdles. And he recruited me to run track for Western Illinois University because I was a state. I ran track and I made it to state. Now it's funny because my coach, my high school coach, he says, whenever he introduces me, he says, this is Franklin Stacy Jr. He used to run the quarter mile, but now he looks like a shot putter. Yes, I was a quarter miler. Yeah, I was a sub 50 quarter miler. Still got records in Peoria. Ran 46 at the Drake
and
relays.
You played football too, didn't you?
I played football. Football was like a you're going to do something else so that you don't get in trouble type sport.
Gotcha.
And that's what our coaches did for us during that time. They were like, you're not just going to be like running around not doing that. You're going to be doing something, so we keep you at that school so we know what you're doing. Gotcha. And so, but talking to Lee Calhoun, he never told me that he was an alpha man. And it was an alpha man that called me, recruited me, brought me to the campus of Western Illinois University. I hadn't even taken the ACT yet. I hadn't even taken the ACT. I love Peoria High School, but at that time, my counselor did absolutely nothing to prepare me for college. And so, being able to have that brother come into my life, he just called me out of the blue and asked me to come and run for him. And I was able to get in, and not even knowing that he was a brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And he did that. And when I tell you, I got accepted to Western Illinois University on a Friday. That's when the letter came, because there's no email. Remember, there's no emails. Right. So I got accepted to Western Illinois University on a Friday and was told to be there on campus on a Monday to register. That's how close I came to not being a college student because I didn't have any family to talk to me about.
And you said the counselors weren't that helpful.
No. At that time, I hate to put a negative. To talk negatively about my school district because I love my city, I love my school district. I make sure all of my children are Peoria Public School District 150 students, my grandchildren. But at that time, it just seemed as if you weren't one of those students that were excelling, they didn't really. They said, well, we'll get you through high school, but you don't give us any reason to believe that you have any intentions on going to college.
Yeah, but there's a bigger backstory to that because you could talk to some people like Pam Adams and others who were back in the day at Manual and Cheryl Ellis, and they'll tell you there was some intentionality in keeping some students from going to college.
Wow, I never knew that.
And I'm not saying that was the case with you.
Yeah.
But back to frat though.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how even with go to high school, go to college, the fraternity steps in to fills that vacuum.
Yep.
Whereas the counselors weren't helping you. Here you have a brother who's helicoptering, looking at the big picture, finding talented black students, bringing them to college, and filling that vacuum where the counselors didn't.
And you mentioned a coach, you mentioned teachers. And even though I'm the odd man out here in the sense that I'm not from Peoria, I went to the University of Puget Sound way across the country. My coming to Alpha is similar. And I think that's one of the beauties of the fraternity is because on that campus, first of all, there were no Black Greeks. There were some other fraternities and sororities, but what happened in my case was I had gotten involved in the Black Student Union on my campus, and one thing led to another, and we formed an interest group. And we got invited to a smoker with the Alphas. We walk in, and it was amazing. I mean, sit down, catered dinner, suit and tie, and all this. And we're students, this was impressive. But here was the thing. Sitting up in the front of the room was a man named Joe Payton. Now, Coach Joe Payton from the University of Puget Sound was already a Hall of Fame athlete that we all knew. I played football in college, and Coach Payton was a track and cross-country coach. So we all knew him, highly respected on the campus, highly respected in the community, and we're like, that's Joe Payton, that's Coach Payton. Never knew, just like you said, never knew that Joe Payton, was part of a fraternity. So we're like, well, Coach Payton, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
He's like, this is my fraternity. And so it was the alumni chapter. Again, similar thing to what you were saying. The alumni chapter there was wanting to develop Alpha in that on our campus. They brought the brothers from University of Washington, Alpha Xi chapter, down to Tacoma, and they held jointly this smoker. And that's how I got introduced to the frat.
Okay, man. That the one thing that I keep hearing is, we had a brother that we did not know was a brother who came into our lives somehow, and he took a vested interest in us. Took a vested interest in us, and he didn't do it with an intentions of us joining the Brotherhood. That was never the intention.
Right.
It was because they saw something in us. They saw something in us that was important, and they took the time to invest in a young man and give him an opportunity, which that's just something that I believe that is my purpose on this earth. That is what I'm here for. I've been in the field of youth development for more than half my life, and one of the main things that I like to tell these students is you have to listen to me. You have to listen to me, and the reason why you have to listen to me is because the one thing that I have over you is that I have been a 13-year-old black boy, but you've never been a 55-year-old black man. And so there's things that I can show you. There's things that I can teach you. And usually when I'm having these conversations, I'm not wearing letters. I'm not wearing letters. You know, I love being at Sterling Middle School, and I love being the in-school suspension teacher. And I love it when I don't like it when students get in trouble and come to my class, but I love having the opportunity to engage with them. And one of the things that I also make sure that I do is I make sure that I engage with students that don't get in trouble.
Right.
Because that's just as important to me.
Do you think we give too much attention sometimes to the students that are in trouble? Because I know in my teaching experience, sometimes the kids who don't get into trouble, who are doing the right thing, they might look at the kids who are being disruptive, and they'll see where the teacher spends a lot of time with them, and then it'd be like, okay, well, I guess the only way for me to get attention is for me to do something out of pocket.
And that's exactly it. You know, I think it is big business. And I hate to say this, it is big business because you have all these organizations and groups that are coming up with these programs, you know, for the purpose of let's try to fix this kid. What about the kid that's doing right? We should be focusing on them to make sure that they don't fall between the cracks or fall through the cracks. And once we put more of our attention on them, then those kids that are not doing what they're supposed to do for whatever reason, they will look and see the attention put on the student that is, and then, you know, from there they may come over to the other side. And so, brothers, this was great. I want to thank Brother Gary Moore. I want to thank Brother Lamar Anderson, and of course, the brother we all know as the other brother, Brother Alex Wood. And thank you for your time. Thank you for your effort. I appreciate this conversation. God bless, and I love you all.